Hello and welcome along to episode 122 of the Don McKaylee sponsored A View from Section C. Senior, it is part deux of our pre-season. Obviously the other night we went through our team, ready to go. But we'd come back with the Concordia preview in this one, but also with a special guest as well. But before we get to that, Senior, it's been a couple of days since we last spoke, and how have those couple of days been?
A couple of days have been good. I've been busy again, as per usual. I actually got a message from Ryan Thompson.
No.
Gillian's going to the game on Saturday. So
I also got said message.
To that. Yeah, did you? Yeah. And he gave us a quick update with Louis, so he's over there till Christmas. He comes back for 2 to 3 weeks, and then he goes back over again. And that's him there till April. So full season across there. He's loving life. And the King of Scotland is the coach over there, Stefan Fournier. I'm the King of Scotland.
Former Cardiff Devil, who was released due to, what was it, contract obligations not being fulfilled. There was a lot of rumours about that time and certain things happening in Cardiff about them. But we won't go into that because we don't want to be sued on the show.
We won't go into that because we don't know. But and I'm looking forward to this. As you know, all-time hero was Michael Jordan, right? Michael Jordan, ever. But I'll tell you, given. They always say, never meet your hero. They never say it. Don't meet your hero. Well, I'm telling you, Junior, the guest was a hero of mine. I'll let you introduce him.
Now, I think, right, and I'm not too sure because I don't know if you've mentioned this in the past week or 2 weeks or the last month or the last God knows how many years. I think you may have played basketball against this guy.
You may have. Yeah, I did.
Okay, I was unsure. I just wanted to confirm it. Okay.
And you know what? He was as tough on that basketball court as what he was when he played ice hockey, I'll tell you that.
So, yes, we do have a couple of tops in the background. Also gives me an excuse to get out my new lovely Rockets top from last season. But the Concordia top's back out for the preview, but also because this gentleman plays for them. Played 3 years with the Concordia Stingers, but also he was an absolute hockey legend in Dundee. And we're going to get into a bit more about hockey legend in Dundee, but this man certainly, contributed to putting Dundee hockey on the map back in the day. So listen to this, Senior. Over 200 points. Now, elite prospects we know is going to be a bit back then, but over 200 points in just over 100 games is what it's got. A 3-year running Grand Slam winner. And you can't really say we get many Grand Slam winners on the show. So without further ado, let's bring him on, Senior. None other than Dundee Rockets legend. It is Mr. Chris Brinster. Chris, welcome to the show.
Thank you very much.
Welcome, Chris.
Great to see you, Laurie. And you know what, Junior?
Yeah.
He was a hell of a basketball player, your dad. Chased me all around the court, all over the place, and he was just a young guy at the time.
Yeah. Well, now he's got this new knee replacement. You might be able to do it again.
Good seeing you, Laurie. Great seeing you, bud.
The new knee replacements will probably dictate that'll never ever happen again.
Well, you still can do a 3-point shot though.
Well, wow. Chris, you know what? You will remember this. Back in our day, there was no such thing as a 3-point line.
No, that's true.
It just did not exist.
Yeah. Didn't have it at all.
They had to make it easier. Yeah.
Get as close to the basket as you could.
Yeah, definitely. And it was so difficult trying to get the basketball when you're up against the Dundee Rockets D-man. That is so difficult, believe you me. For someone who we thought, Chris, what did we think when we were off air? 1981-ish, 82?
Yeah, it would have been 82, 83. So it would have been my second year over here. We were living in Carnoustie at the time, and it was Graham Murray that got me involved with the basketball. And it went fine until Tom heard I was playing basketball, and he said, if you get injured playing basketball, you're going to be on the next plane out of here. So I had to sort of sneak around a little bit after that.
Yeah. So the main reason we're all here with yourself, Chris, on the show is obviously we've been speaking through Facebook and stuff, and we shared it online the other day as well. It's obviously the Hall of Fame campaign for Tom himself. Just, you know, what's been happening with it? So
again, I think over the years, you know, so much time has passed. A lot of people don't even realize that Tom is not in the British Ice Hockey Hall of Fame. I think a lot of people just took it for granted. He was in there and he was accepted, but he's never been recognized. And, you know, listen, the argument is what he did in the 80s basically transformed the game to what we see today. If it wasn't for him and the things that he did, who knows where the sport would have been today. You know, he set precedents in so many different areas, bringing in quality imports, you know, putting together great homegrown players, bringing in the first to bring in an NHL player in the name of like Gary Unger, you know, just out of this world. Brought over Mark Pavlich, you know, a gold medalist from the 1980 Olympic team. Players like Craig Hamola, Louis Cote, Rock Bois, Michael Walker, Kevin O'Neill. I mean, the list goes on. And of course, you know, no one more legendary than Roy Halpin. I mean, Roy was just, you know, he was such a huge part of the Dundee Rockets team. And then, you know, local players like Mike Ward, the Wood brothers, Ali and Ronnie. We had Jimmy Pennycook, Charlie Kinman, Scotty Hudson, youngsters like Graham Stewart, Fraser Wilson, you know, just so many players, Scotty Rowan. I mean, Dougie Scrimmager, Jock McGuff. You know, the list goes on and on.
Never ending.
George Reed, who was the captain, Willie Murray, who played in the first year. You know, it was just incredible. And what an incredible cast of characters too. Like from the first day, we were like family. And that was our biggest success that guided us through everything is that we approached everything. We were family. We did everything together. We would, you know, we had limited training time on the ice. We would actually book some of the gymnasiums around the city, and we would go out. We would train nights we were off the ice, you know, in the gyms. And a lot of people don't realize, you know, for the 3 years that we won 3 consecutive national championships, we dressed in the men's room. That was our locker room. The locker room was the men's room. I can remember being in there like the first year, and we're getting dressed and people walking in to use the bathroom. Yeah. And then we are getting ready to play a game. So it was pretty hysterical.
Do you think what it was? And when I think back, as when we spoke, I think my sort of real first introduction was probably 81, 82. And that was your year, Chris. I think the 3 imports was yourself, Roy, and Kevin O'Neill.
Correct.
And honestly, it was blown away. And I'll be honest with everybody that's listening in and watching in on this. You think hockey nowadays with 15 imports is exceptional, right? You had ice hockey back then with 3 imports. And it was Chris, Kevin O'Neill, and Roy Halpin, and every team was the same. And the hockey back then was untouchable, absolutely untouchable. And what I always think now, and thinking back, Chris, is see when Tom approached you guys to come to Dundee, what was the selling point that Tom had to have this vision that I'm going to bring guys like yourself, Kevin O'Neill, Roy Halpin to Dundee. How did he manage to sell that to you guys?
Well, initially, for me personally, it wasn't a difficult selling point. So we had come over just after the 1980 Olympics in Lake Placid. We came over, we played in an international tournament, which was held in Dundee. There was ourselves representing Canada, Concordia University. There was a Dutch team who had participated in Lake Placid that year, didn't do very well, but they still participated at the Olympics. There was a Danish team and a British team. And we were over here probably 10, 12 days, and it was incredible. I had such an awesome time. The people were just incredible. You know, we had met Tom Stewart for the first time as a team, but it was sort of, you know, at a distance at that point because, you know, he was dealing with the whole running of the tournament and everything else. And it was amazing. And I was like, wow, this is great. So what had happened was, if we fast forward a little bit, we go to the next year, he couldn't get a sanction from the British Ice Hockey Association to hold the same tournament. So what he did was, so this would have been like April of 81.
Mm-hmm.
He brings 6 of us over from Concordia University. There's myself and Kevin O'Neill on defense. And then he brought Doug Feasby, who was a center. He brought John Sliskovic, who was a winger, and he brought Mike Walker, who was a winger. And then we had Doug Drazgazovich, who was the goaltender. So he brought the 6 of us over, and at that point, he started up the Dundee Rockets again. So the 6 of us played with the local Dundee Rocket team, and we toured around, and we played all the Scottish teams. We played Murrayfield, we played Fife, we played all the Scottish teams at that point over like a 2-week period. They had gotten caravans for us in Ladybank, and we were staying in Ladybank. Now, we had one of the company vehicles. It was a minivan, and of course, nobody was able to drive because, you know, in North America, we drive on the opposite side of the road. But I had the most experience because I was a truck driver and everything. So I took up all the driving at that point. So here we are. We'd go up to Dundee, play our games. We'd go out after the games. We'd be out till, I can't even tell you how late, but we'd be coming back. It'd be dark, and the pheasants would be running all over the roadway. And it was just a great time from that particular, from April 81, Tom had then said, look, I'm going to be putting the team into the Northern League and the British setup that coming September, which would have been September 81. And he was looking for players to come back full time. As soon as he said that, I'll come. I had such a good time over here.
Mm-hmm.
I had such a wonderful time. It was a no-brainer for me. I was coming back to Dundee.
Yeah.
And the 2 other players he had settled on was Kevin O'Neill, and he wanted Doug Feasby. But now Doug had been drafted by the Detroit Red Wings at that point in time, and he was going to be going to Detroit camp. So it was uncertain. Plus, if I remember correctly, Doug was also engaged. He was going to be getting married. From a personal point of view, and maybe a little selfish, you know, I didn't think Doug would have been the right fit in Dundee at that point in time, just because of what was going on in his life and what I had seen and experienced over here.
Mm-hmm.
So I was actually pushing Roy. I knew Roy was playing in Japan for the previous 2 years or previous season, and he had come back and he was looking to continue playing. So it would have been July, August of 81. I borrowed a friend's car. Tom was over in Montreal. I drove up to Montreal, met him at the hotel, and said, "Listen, Tom, this is the guy we need. I'm telling you, I know this at the bottom of my heart. This is the guy." Roy was a perfect fit for what we wanted to do in Dundee. And I knew he was a sniper. This guy scores goals with his eyes closed. You know, we have a great saying for Roy. Roy's the only guy I know. He jumps out a window and he ends up on a floor higher. He's absolutely incredible. And you know, he got the nickname Mr. Magic, and he was absolutely magical. just an unbelievable. And beside being an unbelievable player, he was an incredible teammate, and he was an incredible ambassador for the game and the sport.
Mm-hmm.
So finally, sort of convinced Tom, because Tom didn't have a big recollection of Roy at the time, because, that April before, Roy was playing in Japan. He hadn't seen him since Roy was over with Concordia. So when Roy came, when we are, we turn up. I think we got in like on a Thursday. We had our first game Saturday. We really didn't have a chance to practice or anything. Roy probably, was a little bit, maybe not in great shape coming in. And so I think Tom was a little nervous when he saw us, because the first game we played against Edinburgh. It was an exhibition game. We actually lost the game. It was close. I don't remember the score exactly, but we lost. And I think Tom was a little nervous at that point, like, oh my God, what did I do here? I listened to Chris. I should have never listened to him. But listen, as it turns out, Roy ended up being probably the single most exciting and best player to hit the shores in the United Kingdom.
Yeah. That is a high accolade when as a teammate that you're saying that about Roy Halpin, because everybody in Dundee speaks about Roy Halpin. They still speak about Roy Halpin now.
Yep.
And it just goes to show. But in the same breath, guys, they also say the same about you. Right? So don't underestimate what you did for Dundee Ice Hockey as well, my friend. That you done a lot, I must admit.
Yeah.
I think maybe the reason why they say that about me is probably because they're scared I'll come looking for them.
Hence why I'm saying that right now.
Yeah.
Yeah. Junior.
Yeah, I was just gonna ask Chris, just for yourself, what would it mean, not just to you, but the whole Rockets side of things? What would it mean to you guys for Tom to get in that Hall of Fame?
It's such an important issue at this point in time, and has been over the years, because I think it just solidifies the legacy that he put together for himself. This is a man that, pushed everything aside for hockey. His family life, his business life, he just ate, drank, slept hockey 24/7. And, the things he achieved, thinking about it, and as a startup, here we are, a startup team. We not only won, but we swept the boards the first year. We repeated that again the second year. We repeated it again the third year. And I'll tell you something, if we don't have a little bit of an unlucky injury bug in the fourth year, we might have had a good chance of almost doing it for 4 years.
Yeah.
In the fourth year, we lost Mike Ward for a period of time, which was a big blow. Once we lost Mike, and we didn't have really a goaltender. We had his young brother, Kenny, but not capable of stepping into the shoes and filling Mike's shoes.
Yeah.
We had a young Martin Mackay, but he was still very green. Martin still wasn't ready, to play at that level. And of course, we lose Roy Halpin. He goes down with a back injury, which is not only a season-ending injury, it's a career-ending injury. And we ended up picking up Stevie Salter, great guy. We couldn't have got a better replacement than Steve Salter.
Yeah.
Steve Salter was great. But the problem was we had fallen behind the 8 ball with injuries, and we couldn't recover. And it ended up, I think, it came down to like the last game of the year. We were playing in Billingham, and we lost the game, and that was us out of the playoffs. I mean, we didn't even make the playoffs in the fourth year. But, and Fife went on to have a really good season that year, and they ended up winning the British Championship.
Yeah.
So,
Chris, from the sort of the whole Dundee side of thing with Tom, what could the Dundee hockey fraternity do to push this forward, to try and help yourself and to also help Tom's legacy to get him into the British Ice Hockey Hall of Fame?
Well, probably one of the first things that everybody could do is I got to tell you, we have such an incredible ally in Graham Strachan at the Courier. Graham has kept us alive. He's kept, the old-time Rockets alive. He's kept us at the forefront, acknowledging what Graham has done, and also going to the editors of the Courier, his bosses, and thanking them, because these are the people that have allowed us to stay current and keep this going. I mean, listen, at the end of the day, they're in business to sell papers, right? And at some point they may say, listen, that was 45 years ago. What are we talking about that now? Let's get something current. But they've stuck with Graham on this, and they've just endorsed us and pushed this along, which has been a huge, huge thing. So I've been working on this a little over a year now, and I have reached out to the selection committee, and the selection committee is made up of people that have been writers of ice hockey, and also there happens to be one player that's part of the selection group, which is Ian Cooper. He's a former Durham Wasp player.
Yeah.
Great young man. He was a great player. Him and his brother Stephen.
Stephen, that's right. Yeah.
Two of the most outstanding British players to ever play the game, without a doubt. And Ian has been a huge help. I've actually was accepted in submitting an application into the group. They only pick 2 to 3 people a year for the Hall of Fame. So I've had the application accepted. They're going to take a look at Tom. They're meeting by Zoom over August and September. I'm hoping maybe by October I'll have word back on whether he was selected or not for this year's, class. And again, at this stage, fingers crossed. We're hopeful this is going to go through. There's been a lot of talk, even with the article that came out in the Courier on Monday. There's been a lot of people talking about this that didn't realize. I think they took it for granted, thinking he was already in the Hockey Hall of Fame. So there's been a lot of action, a lot of stuff going on online, people talking. So it's been great. But a lot of this came from, a paper like the Courier stepping up and saying, this is newsworthy. And, it's been fantastic. It really has.
Yeah, because when you reached out to myself, I had to think back. I'm thinking, why is Chris asking me this? Did it not happen before? Was it? And you got me thinking about it. And then obviously, because you'd messaged, I'm thinking, I really can't believe that Tom Stewart's not actually there.
Yeah.
And when you look at the other guys that have been accepted over the years throughout ice hockey, you begin to think, okay, I can understand why they're in. Now, what you're doing and pushing really hard with the help of Graham at the Courier, it's not a case of looking at those saying, well, they don't deserve it. Yeah, they do deserve it, but you know what? Tom Stewart deserves it as well. And people listening in, people that are on social media, you'll see the posts that we've put up. Get sharing it because this will reach out to a lot of people and will hopefully make the ice hockey committee in Britain stand up and you know what? Although it was 45 years ago, let's go and do something for Tom Stewart, because it is deserved.
Absolutely. It goes without saying. And again, not real familiar with, like, you have the Hockey Hall of Fame, for the NHL over here, which is in Toronto. So they have different categories. They'll have player categories. They'll have what they call builder categories. They'll have team categories. So again, even as a builder, as an administrator, as an owner, he deserves his place there for what he did. I mean, you think about it. Here is Concordia Stingers in town. They're playing 3 games. Saturday night, they're playing the Dundee Stars. That's because of Tom. That was the relationship that he established. And the reason Concordia got involved was Brian O'Neill who was with the NHL. He was a vice president in the NHL at the time, back in the 80s. Tom had a relationship with Brian O'Neill. Brian O'Neill reached out. They were based in Montreal. He reached out to Concordia University, and that's how we ended up coming over here.
Yeah.
So everything centers around what Tom did. And, think of all the Concordia Stingers also over the years that have come over here and played. You know,
and Chris, you could even think about Tom Stewart with Dundee Rockets. If there was no Dundee Rockets, maybe Mike Ward does not become a netminder for the Dundee Rockets. Mike Ward maybe doesn't play ice hockey. If Mike Ward doesn't play ice hockey, then do you then have the Dundee Stars?
You're right.
Everything is linked.
Yes.
All the way back.
Absolutely.
And you're right. The Concordia Stingers sort of link between Dundee ice hockey, the Rockets, and the Stars has been there for a long time now. And long may it continue, to be honest with you, because yourself, Roy, and then even more recently, Philippe Songe was one of the Concordia Stingers. We know the coach, Marc-Andre Elamont, the head coach of this season's Concordia Stingers. So, this has went on for a long, long time. But as you say, one man made it happen.
Exactly. And not only in Dundee, but Concordia Stingers went to play in many other teams throughout the United Kingdom.
Yeah.
You had Derek Watt, who played in Ayr. There were players that went all over the place here. And basically from 1980, a university team that came in to play in an international tournament, which would never happened if it was for Tom Stewart.
Yeah.
So he deserves, the sad thing is, unfortunately, Tom passed away a few years ago.
Yeah.
So, and his wife, Marianne, who was probably the most important factor behind Tom, she actually, Tom was the face. She was the engine driving everything. She was behind him. She was so hockey crazy. So she endorsed the sport so much. And I got to tell you, in our years when we came over here, they were like our family. They took care of us. They have us. We would eat pregame meals there. They were doing laundry. They were just doing everything. The entire family took care of the imports, the out-of-town players. They were just incredible. Absolutely incredible.
Yeah.
And at least, at this point, we still have Tom's daughter, Michelle. And so, I just think this would be a huge thing for the family, for him to be recognized finally after all this time. And it's so, deserving and so long overdue. We've got to make it happen.
Yeah, definitely.
And I don't think you could have wrapped that up any better. Like you say, it purely is. It always comes back, and we always say who decided that hockey was a family sport. When they say it's a family sport, mind your language. Senior, he can't mind his language at the hockey. But they say it's a family sport, and like that, you've absolutely nailed it on the head of the family that you guys, especially the Rockets, even nowadays the Stars, that the Wards do every season. They make that team a family, and certainly that's what Tom did with you guys. So I don't think you could have summed it up any better as to the exact reason why he deserves to be in that Hall of Fame.
And I would probably also say, Junior, right, that Mike Ward played along with Chris under Tom Stewart, right, and I would imagine that a lot of Mike's traits nowadays, he'll have watched how Tom Stewart carried himself when he was coach, owner, everything to do with the Dundee Rockets. Mike will have watched that in the background. And like is what Chris is saying there, and you touched on it as well, Junior, about the family. Every Stars player that you speak about says the same thing about the Dundee Stars and the Wards. it's like a family. And I would not be surprised if Mike has taken those traits from listening and being around Tom Stewart all those years ago.
Yeah.
Well, listen, that builds a winning team without a doubt. I can remember that, the first year we were a little confused because the way our seasons growing up in sport were always structured. You'd play, you'd get to the playoffs, you'd play through the playoffs, and then you'd play for a championship. Well, it seemed like every couple of weeks we were playing a different cup competition, and we had this one and that one. We had gone through to Edinburgh. It wasn't maybe halfway through the season, and I think we won the Scottish Cup at that point. We beat Edinburgh. So when we would travel, we would have our fans on the bus with us because it helped subsidize the cost of the bus.
Mm-hmm.
And so we were living the first year in Brigfoot. When I say Brigfoot, they say it's Bridgefoot. When I say Bridgefoot, they tell me Brigfoot. So I don't know. I don't know how we're going to pronounce that, but Bridgefoot. Okay, so we have a little cottage in Bridgefoot, and we had won the game in Edinburgh. The entire bus went back to the cottage, and I'm telling you, it couldn't even fit down the road. It pulled right to the side. Everybody got off. The fans, everybody went into the house, and we just had a party that night till the wee hours of the morning. So it was, just great fun, and that's the way it always was. We'd go on a road trip, and there was always singing going on. It was never quiet. There was always something taking place. Guys be playing cards. The fans would be screaming. It was such an incredible atmosphere. And when I at first came over here, initially it was for a year, but I ended up being here almost 9 years over, on and off over the years. And it was just because of the success we had. It was because of the fan support. It was because of, the familyness that we all shared with one another. And it was like, it was all for one and one for all. It was like, if one was in, we were all in, and, nobody got left behind. We just, we took it that way. And we had some interesting things, over the years. It was a lot of fun.
Yeah. And you say you've been here back and forward, and I could see you on Facebook just now, Chris, and I'm not happy because you keep commenting on the same houses that myself and my wife are looking at. So
I see. Okay, hold on. I got the Rocket jersey on.
Okay, I'm not going to say anything in person to you. Okay.
No, you're right. Okay. So you're letting the cat out of the bag now. I have been.
Yeah.
Listen, I would like to. I'm looking at maybe buying a place, coming back over. Definitely.
Yeah.
So
that'd be good.
That'd be good.
But I haven't seen your name. I was laughing.
We must have great taste. That's all I'm going to say. Great taste.
Obviously. Yeah.
But Chris, just to reminisce, because there are a lot of fans who go and watch the Stars who are of the same sort of era as myself.
Mandy?
Going back to those.
Sorry?
Mandy?
Mandy Johnson, Arlene, my good mate that used to play football with, Paul Hunt, is a big fan of yourself, Chris, and Roy. Paul's the same age as me, so we were probably going all the same games.
Right.
When you go back, and it was 3 imports, how good were the British guys? Or I'll rephrase that. How good were the Scottish guys?
I got to tell you, players like, Ali and Ronnie Wood, so underrated. Mike Ward. Without the 3 of them, I don't care. I score 800 goals. Roy scores 900. We don't win. We won because we had the guys behind and alongside us that were able to do the job. And that's what really made us so successful. We were never, and this was something we stressed day in, day out. We're not a one-person team. it takes everybody. We got to have all the spokes on the wheel. We have to have the wheel turning in the right direction. And the thing is, we had such a belief in one another that even though we would fall behind, we felt we could come back. And so many games that we pulled out of the air that we had no right. Excuse me.
That'll be Roy Halpin asking why he's not on the show.
we had so many games we had no right to win that we ended up winning, and it was really because we had belief in ourselves. We just always knew we could pull it off.
Yeah.
But the home
I struggle. Yeah, I struggle to now. Going back all those years, I grew up watching 3 imports and the rest were Scottish/British players.
Right.
And then it went to sort of the 2000s, and it was the British National League, and it went to 8 imports. But to dress 8 imports, you had to have a minimum of 8 British players on your bench.
Right.
So you were still bringing through the local guys,
right,
plus others from elsewhere. But then they've just kept increasing. And the import levels for this season, I think Junior will correct me if I'm wrong, is 15 imports. So what you then end up doing is you end up with maybe 5, 6 British players in your team, and that's it. And a lot of times they make up the numbers because you've just got to have a roster with that.
Yeah.
And I really, really struggle with that. As much as I've loved my ice hockey, I'll very rarely miss a game. Doesn't matter how many imports it is when you're at the game now. But going back all those years, I always thought it was detrimental to the local talent, as in Scottish talent and British talent, that we kept increasing. And it's went from 3 imports in the 80s to now, and we're at 15 imports.
Right.
You know, as you say, guys like Scott Hudson, Jimmy Pennycook, the Woods, Scott Rowan, all these guys, and a name that is synonymous with Dundee Ice Hockey now, Steve Garrigan.
Yeah.
Whose son Craig plays.
Yeah. Stevie played with us.
Yeah. And Craig plays for the Stars now.
Yeah.
But he's only one of, there's Craig, there's Chris, 5, 6
4 skaters
that are in the roster.
Yeah, one of
4
skaters. He's
4 skaters.
One of 4. We've got obviously Dom is backup, but 4 skaters.
See, I've got some thoughts on that, and one of the disadvantages we had back in the day was we didn't have ice time. So had we had more ice time available, because curling basically controlled the old Kingsway rink. I mean, you know, we got small slivers of ice time. It didn't take us till our 3rd and 4th year to start getting a decent slot. Early on, like the first year I was there, we played that first home game, which was an exhibition game against Edinburgh. We went on the road for 2 months. We didn't have another home game for 2 months. We were playing games on the road for double points that year. And we would have to rent Fife to play home games, which was ridiculous. When we started getting home ice, it was on a Saturday night at like 5 and 6 o'clock. We're competing with Dundee United and Dundee football team. So it was extremely difficult. Today, the rink seems to be much more pro, ice hockey. Yeah. There's a lot more time available. So there's a lot more time to bring on the youth. We were in a situation where we had to come out of the gates and make a point by winning. And once we won the first year, then the onus was on us to win the second year and to win again the third year. Mm-hmm. So, one of the things that, I look back and I'm not happy about is that we didn't have the ability to bring on some of the younger local talent like we should have. And it was mainly because we just didn't have ice time. We would go on the ice on a Friday night at midnight. We would run a hockey school for 2 age groups from midnight to 12:30, And then we would have a practice that would start at 2:00 in the morning on a Friday night. We'd have games on Saturday and Sunday, So it was just such a limit to ice time. Today, the ice time is there. My feeling is teams like the Rockets, as an example, those type of teams can be the feeders to, the elite pro league. And that's where they need to start using the British, Scottish, and players that come out of that league to fill in these places. I mean, to bring a player in just to fill up a spot is not the right way. Even practicing with the stars, okay, there is a benefit, but it's not the same as playing games. If these players are not going to play at that level, they should be playing games where they're capable of getting a game each week. And the other thing is, I think it's so important, sort of like in transfers in football that you have, there's got to be a working relationship between the top team, the Stars, and the Rockets. And if Laura, you have Junior playing for you, and I'm the big team, I need to say, hey, Laurie, Junior's a hell of a hockey player. I'd like to see what we can do and bring him up with us. I need to go to you, not go directly to Junior and avoid you.
Yeah.
And some of that has happened. I'd like to see a much better working relationship, at the star level. Listen, and you have a team that almost swept the boards this year under you. Obviously, they've got talented players. Obviously, they've got a great organization. They've got good ownership, and they've got an unbelievable coach. Why wouldn't you make a marriage with that and say, you know what? We're going to pull players from you. We're going to speak to you. And then the other thing is to also, it's important to protect those players that are making the move, because what happens if, as an example, one of them get injured and it's a career-ending injury? Who's going to look after these players? You know what I mean? When something like that happens. So there's got to be some type of mechanism put in place to make sure that these players are not being taken advantage of also. Because let's face it, I'm 19. I get the call. Stars want, I want to go play for the Stars. That's it. I'm not thinking about anything else. I just want to go play. When I was younger, I would have played hockey for nothing. Just give me a stick and let me go. But there needs to be checks and balances in place to make sure that the players are not being taken advantage of and that they get what they rightly deserve. Maybe there's, something that's got to come in, like a trend. If you take one of the players, the team's entitled to some type of fee for that. Because let's face it, if I've got a player that plays for me for 5 years and I've invested, even though they might not be getting paid, they're getting equipment, they're getting their travel, they're getting this, that, and the next thing, and they're getting the experience. And now they just go to an upper team. There's no compensation that comes back to the lower team. It's not fair. That doesn't exist in football, and it shouldn't exist in hockey.
You do see that more and more nowadays in football, where clubs like let's say Dundee United have invested their time into a young player, brought him through the academy,
right,
and they've allowed him to build up and build up and build up for a big team to come in as soon as he hits 17 or 18 and say, yeah, we've offered him a contract, and he walks away for nothing.
Right.
Now that can't happen. They've got to pay compensation. But it's an age thing. They've got to be a specific age. If it's under 19 or 20 or something, they've got to pay compensation nowadays in football if a club has invested all their time and money in building this young guy's career up with the hope of him representing that club. But you could walk away. Previously, they used to walk away for nothing.
Right.
Now there's a compensation thing. So I would agree with that. I think that would be a good thing in ice hockey, that if a club like the Rockets bring a young guy through And if there's a link between the Stars and the Rockets, then fine. But don't allow the Rockets to invest all their time for the guy to go and sign for Sheffield or Nottingham.
Absolutely.
If they want him,
Yep.
pay compensation for him.
Yeah, for sure.
Mm-hmm.
For sure.
Yeah.
I mean, the Rockets started up, they merged the Comets and the Tigers, right? So they start up last year for the first year. You've got Stuart Barnett, great guy. You've got Rab Brown, great guy. They're both running this organization unbelievably. First thing they do is they bring in an absolute crackerjack, top-notch coach, Jeff Hutchins. Jeff is just incredible. Listen, the last time the Dundee Stars won, Jeff was the coach of the team.
Yeah, we've always said that. Jeff is a friend of the show.
Jeff is he's an unbelievable person. He's an unbelievable leader. These guys respect him, and they will go the extra mile for him. He's done a great job with this team. But, even though we'll class them as amateur, they're really a professional setup. The way they approach the sport, the way they approach the game, the way they prepare. And you know what? Because of that, they need to be recognized if they've got things going on. This didn't happen by accident. There was thought put into this. There's money being spent to get them to this level. And if players are going to go, they need to. There's got to be a what's the word I'm looking for? A respect thing there. That, you know what? Out of respect, if I want them, I need to speak to the organization, and then I can go talk to the player.
Yeah. Totally agree.
Yeah. So listen, Chris, you're going to stay on. We do have senior for the first time this new season, the Liam Mean Tattoo sponsored game preview, which is the Concordia Stingers. And, speaking about that two-way, it'd be good to see Rio and maybe even Jaden have gotten at least on the bench, some ice time.
Yeah.
Senior, someone actually said to me or they commented on Monday's show that the Rio Page picture we put up looked like Patrick Liney. Now, I'm going to have to put it back up again because we need to see this.
Okay, you put the picture.
Do we have a Patrick Liney doppelganger here?
Possibly. I could see it in the eyes.
Yeah, a little bit.
See it in the eyes. He looks a bit more like the guy that plays or did play for the Rangers. I don't know if he's here now. Is it Lafreniere or something?
We don't talk about the Rangers on this show, though. If it's not Ottawa, we ain't talking about anyone.
Oh boy.
We've got Concordia on Saturday. Now, we spoke about the NHL a little bit there. There is an NHL bit of a coaching legend going to be on the bench on Saturday in Jim Corsi. So Jim Corsi has been the goalie coach in the NHL for over 20 years. Most of his time with Buffalo, been with St. Louis Blues and also the Columbus Blue Jackets, most recently with a kind of shared role with Concordia. I think this is his first year potentially out of the NHL. So Mark was telling me that he's came over. They were looking to maybe get a wee tasting session somewhere.
Okay.
I'm not sure if you're aware. Jim Corsi actually was the goaltender in the early 70s when Concordia won a national championship.
Yep, in 75, 76.
Yep, just before I got there. Yep. and he also played for, I believe, the Italian national team.
Yes, he did. He was also their goalie coach in his later life as well. So Jim will be there on Saturday as well. So, for listeners and viewers on the show, we do have a bit of a coaching legend going to be in the rink on Saturday. Stars, obviously. Sorry, Chris, on you go.
One other little tidbit for you. So one thing I found out, which I thought was pretty cool. So Marc-Andre, which I didn't realize, he was the captain of the team in 2011 that came over and played against the Stars. Mm-hmm. He's currently the reigning head coach of the Stingers. Yeah. So it turns out through his whole youth hockey career, you know who his coach was?
Go on.
No, we're going to get embarrassed because he
Michel
may have
Blatt.
told us this.
No, it's Michel Blatt, who was the captain of the Concordia Stingers when we came over in 1980.
There you go.
So it just shows how tight. And Roy Halpin happens to be a very close friend of Marc-Andre. In fact, he reached out to Roy asking him what were some good pubs. Roy reached out to me, and I sent him I texted him over a few places to send him to.
Yeah, so I think, to be fair, Senior, I've not told you the plans yet, but I think we're going to meet Mark in trades. So
we
go to trades. But yeah, so yes, we Concordia on Saturday night. Obviously, Senior, we are one player short of our full roster due to Isaacson not coming. I have a little birdie has told me that we do have somebody signed and they could be here for Saturday. But I've also had a little birdie tell me that Justin Bean has been playing forward in training this week to make up the lines.
All right, that's interesting.
So
very interesting.
I think possibly I think we're realizing that they're going to come with full lines and we're going to have to match them and not have double shift. But probably Dryden can absolutely double or triple shift if need be.
Yeah, I would also say, all right, this could be, and I know that it's Dundee's only first and only pre-season game, right? I would have thought we would have worked on the 6D men, left the 6D men there, and play somebody like a Rio Page and give him ice time, and let's see what the kid could do.
Yeah,
to make up that. If we're missing one guy, you've got Rio there, you've got Jaden there. Put them in, see what they could do, and if somebody's got a double shift, I'm sure they'll double shift. I find it strange that we're going to put a D-man in for our only pre-season game as a forward.
But I agree with you guys. That's exhibition games. That's when you give everybody the opportunity. Listen, you never want to lose a game. However, it's the time to see what the player can do, and they might surprise you. So if you don't put them in, you're never going to know.
I know.
Yeah.
And as I said, Chris, it's our only pre-season game. We've only got one game. We go into the Challenge Cup games next weekend against Fife. Justin Bean, who is one of the import D-men, will be playing D against Fife.
Right.
So if he doesn't play D against Concordia with whoever he's going to get matched up with, how does he know how his D partner is going to play? To me, they've got to get them suited, booted, ready. You're left, you're right. 3 lines of D-men, let's go. The forwards can interchange left, right, and centre. I think defence is probably a more specialised area to play in.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think the thing is, though, if maybe Mark knows that, as in our Mark, if our Mark knows that this new signing, if it's true, and the new signing is in, then it could be that he's maybe just for training point of views. Then it might just be for training that they've got full lines. Senior, I'm really hoping it's this guy that comes back again.
I
have to get James Field.
Chris, he keeps putting this photograph of James Phelan up, right? He's not coming back, Junior. But I'll tell you who. Listen, could be breaking news. Jeff Marshall's in town.
Yeah, I know.
Maybe actually, Jeff Marshall's playing D.
I did see a picture of him last week at the at Pleasureland for their 50th anniversary. They had a night thing and Jeff was there. But listen, the Stingers, they lost in Nottingham in their first game, but then came back and beat Cardiff by 3-2 the other night. So.
But the Nottingham game was close from what I heard. 5 minutes left. Nottingham scored 3 goals to win the game.
Yeah, absolutely. So it's going to be a tough affair.
It's going to be tough. It's going to be a tough affair because Nottingham and Cardiff are 2 of the top teams in the league.
What was the score in the Cardiff game?
3-2.
Cardiff 3-2.
Stingers. Yeah. So it'll be difficult. I think sometimes clubs underestimate the sort of the college teams that come over. Concordia. Last year we played what was it? Quebec. Trois-Rivières of Quebec.
Yep.
And these guys, like Concordia, even all those years ago when Marc-Andre was playing, they are so fast and can be physical at the same time.
Right.
You know, they are rapid. So I think it'll be, again, I wouldn't expect anything else apart from a hard, checking, fast game of ice hockey on Saturday night.
That'll be exciting for sure.
Yeah. Right. Yeah. We're going to involve Chris in this. Mr. Brinster, what would your score prediction be?
Oh, good one. Well, hearing the first game, I think, Concordia were getting their feet a little bit, maybe getting over the jet lag too over here. Second game, they had a better showing, and Cardiff, again, is a good team. I'm going to say if they play up to the standards that they played the first two games, 4-2 for Concordia.
Okay. Senior.
I'm going to say that it's the Stars are new. The Stingers will have played a couple of pre-season. They'll have been together probably a bit before this as well. I'm going to say 3-1 Stingers.
Okay. I was going to go 4-2. I will change. I will go 5-2 Concordia. So okay, so we'll use the term. The experts on the podcast this week are going with Concordia clean sweep here. So we shall see how it goes. Senior, I am going to wrap up the show with a very quick Swimming World with Stella sponsored on this day.
Okay.
We had 2 leavers, and listen, we'll apologise in advance for any swearing in this next section because Senior, I'll get very excited. In 2018, Gabriel Levesque left the Stars. I did get the team name, but I'm not even going to attempt to pronounce it because it was part of the LNAH, and there's no way I was attempting it. And in 2024, Senior, Big fucking Sexy left to go to the Tahoe Night Monsters in Elijah Villio. Yeah, see, one of Senior's more favourite players in recent times. On this day, 2 players signed, 2021, from Dunkerque, is Michael Poirier. What a player Michael Poirier was.
Michael. Yeah.
And in 2023, probably less said, the better about this player now. From HK Nitra, we signed Elmer. Sorry, I was going to say Elmer Fudd. Jake Elmer. And that is our on this day.
Yeah.
Again, less said.
Less said the better before we get ourselves thrown off the air.
Absolutely. But yes, as I say on screen, like and subscribe to everything, Facebook and Twitter, our YouTube channel as well, where you'll get the show. We will be sharing this out as soon as possible, probably tonight. But listen, Chris, sir, it was an absolute honour to have you on a view from Section C. For some of the, how shall we say it, Senior? Just for you,
older ones,
the mature audience of the show. It'll be a great time for reminiscing and all the good times from the Rockets. For some young bucks like myself, still, it's great to hear and live some of the things that you guys did in hockey in Dundee that we might never get a chance to see success as much as that. So. Honestly, from me, thank you.
Yeah, what we'd also say is there are still videos on YouTube, right? You will still see the Rockets, British Championship winning teams. It is there to go and watch. Go and watch it. It's an absolute delight. Even now, I'll still watch it, an old game that comes up on Facebook. And the teams, some of the teams that were Durham Wasps, Billingham, Whitley Warriors, all the teams at the Northeast, and then you go further down, Streatham Redskins, teams like that. And then, obviously, the mob from across the water, the Five Flyers there. They were going back then as well. Our unwashed friends from across the water, they were still going as well, but they had a good team. But it was so good back then. And if you want to see how good it is, go and watch it. But from me, Chris, it's been a pleasure catching up against Bud. We will make it. We'll say it now. It will not be another 45 years in the making. We will catch up before this.
Absolutely.
Before there are 45s out. Definitely. Especially if you move to Dundee.
Yeah. Well, gentlemen, I'm humbled. Thank you for for giving us the opportunity to to talk about Tom Stewart and everything that he's done and what he's that he's earned his place and he deserves his place. Hopefully we make this happen. If we get good news by October, we will be setting up a night where we will have a celebration. He'll be recognized. And obviously you guys better be there for that.
Yeah, absolutely.
I have some commemorative hats for you from the 40th anniversary celebration.
Oh, love it. Absolutely love it.
Legend.
Next time I'm in town, which hopefully will not be that long from now, I will have hats for you and we'll definitely catch up. Guys, I can't
definitely. Most definitely.
Thank you.
Again.
You're more than welcome. It's a deserved cause that you're doing, Chris. Everybody would like to thank you for fighting for it, and let's hope it is a successful campaign and Tom gets the recognition that he deserves.
Absolutely. Yep.
Yeah. Thanks for listening, folks. Thanks for joining in on YouTube, Spotify, Apple Podcasts. Hopefully we are sitting here with a smile on our face after a pre-season victory, and then we will be looking forward to our first actual games of the season again against our unwashed friends from Fife.